I'm here for championships, not to run a damn daycare. Those were the words from Luka Dončić, a direct shot fired about his teammate. 5 little words that ripped the entire Lakers organization to shreds. We're talking about a clandestine fight between agents in a stadium tunnel, LeBron going into full-blown protective daddy mode, and a secret group chat message that exposed the entire rotten core. This feud has been festering for years, long before these guys were ever forced to share a locker room. The truth of this story is 1,000 times uglier than what's been reported. Do you honestly believe the Lakers stand a chance at a title this season, while LeBron is busy manipulating the lineup to protect his kids' minutes, all while Luka is desperately trying to win at the highest level? Unleash your unfiltered opinion in the comments this instant. Let's dissect the sentence that set it all on fire. I came here to win rings, not babysit anyone. Luka Dončić actually uttered that into a live microphone, talking about a fellow player. And this wasn't just some bench warmer. He was talking about the son of the man who controls that locker room, the puppet master who reportedly had the final say on who coaches this team, and the sole reason this legendary franchise now operates like a pathetic family business instead of a professional sports team. That single comment escalated an already volatile situation into a full-scale civil war. And if you want to understand the real story, we have to rewind past January 13th. We need to pinpoint the moment the poison of resentment first started to seep in. We're turning to our breaking news right here on SportsCenter. A blockbuster trade is shaking up the NBA as we speak. The Dallas Mavericks are sending Luka Dončić, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris to the Los Angeles Lakers in exchange for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick. It's a 3-team trade also involving Utah, confirmed by our own Shams Charania. February 1st, 2025, the day the Luka for Anthony Davis trade was cemented in history. This was already a franchise-altering move, but the sheer disrespect in how the players learned about it is what ignited the chaos. The book, A Hollywood Ending, by Ethan Sherwood Strauss, reveals the front office had a plan to break the news delicately. Key players were supposed to be informed directly by the team's leadership, but instead, Bronny James, the team's nepotism hire, reportedly saw the Shams Charania tweet and carelessly dropped the bombshell into the team group chat. I was absolutely blindsided. Like I said, I had no clue. I was literally at my house, about to put on a movie with my wife, and then, I get the call. So, I was completely in the dark. It wasn't until about an hour later that I found out I was gone. So, I was just in a state of shock. I never saw it, coming at all. But I guess now it's, I'm just getting past it and, just preparing to play with the new guys. Just try to imagine the betrayal Anthony Davis felt in that moment. A man who sacrificed his body for that organization, who anchored their defense on shattered knees and worn out ankles. A man who delivered a championship banner to Los Angeles, only to find out he was being discarded and shipped to Dallas because a rookie, who's only on the team due to his father's influence, dumped a link in a group chat. Davis's response was ice cold, and who could blame him? He flat out said he couldn't process it, calling it a soul-crushing moment. Saturday night, my head was just spinning. I mean, we were coming off a massive win, a statement win, at Madison Square Garden. I was gone. I was out with my family grabbing dinner when I heard the news, and, the second I heard it, I was sure it was a lie. I figured it was a prank. Just people trying to stir things up or whatever. But then AD hit me up. AD FaceTimed me. We talked for a good long while. And even after I hung up with him, it just didn't feel real. And it pretty much didn't feel real. It didn't become real until I saw Luka today. And then I saw a video of AD at the Dallas shoot-around. That's when it really punched me in the gut. Like, LeBron also played dumb in that chat, but don't let his stage surprise fool you. He was spiraling for completely selfish reasons. He didn't just lose his closest ally and his most reliable defensive anchor. He inherited a 25-year-old alpha who is statistically and competitively superior to him in almost every single way. A player who now demands a share of the spotlight LeBron has monopolized for 2 decades. That's not a teammate. That is a direct threat to the entire empire LeBron has built around the lie that he is the undisputed king of any team he's on. Luka didn't move to Los Angeles to play second fiddle. He didn't come to babysit. He came because the front office duped him with the promise of a real shot at a championship. But what he walked into was a corrupt system designed to protect LeBron's crumbling legacy and to force-feed his son, Bronny, a future that no one outside of the James cult ever agreed to. The November 15th game against the Bucks was the moment the facade shattered for the public to see. Luka went off for 41 points, and the Lakers got the win. On the surface, everything looked fine. But if you scrutinize the player rotations, you expose the catastrophe hiding behind the final score. Bronny was handed a starting spot in that game. He played 10 minutes. He shot 0 for 2 from the field and was a complete ghost on the court. The Lakers' net rating when Bronny was on the floor with Luka plummeted to negative 4.2. That's a damning statistic. It proves that even with the most dominant offensive force in the league on the court, the team was getting its teeth kicked in because the other personnel were such a massive liability. Went to the sideline with that injury. Luka's in pretty deep. He fires it to the corner. Bronny, who got the start tonight, has had plenty of opportunities. Coach Jay Redick finally reached his breaking point during that game. Sources claim he completely lost it on the sideline, screaming at Bronny to have the guts to shoot the ball before yanking him from the game and refusing to put him back in. That public humiliation exposed the dirty arrangement that was secretly in place ever since LeBron helped install Redick as the head coach. The corrupt, unspoken agreement was that Bronny would be gifted significant playing time next to Luka, a pathetic development project disguised as a championship campaign. Redick's basic coaching sense finally overpowered the backroom deal because he couldn't stand there and watch the Milwaukee Bucks victimize Bronny on every single play while he had to pretend it wasn't gutting the team. After Redick finally benched Bronny, LeBron allegedly went into full-blown panic mode. He wasn't even active for the game because of his sciatica, but he was in the arena, and he made damn sure everyone knew he was furious. They say he cornered Redick in a back hallway, raging that their secret pact was being broken in front of everyone. And then Luka took a seat for an interview and dropped his bombshell. Rings, not babysitting. The G League is for development. That locker room was poisoned from that moment on. If I'm running the Lakers, my first call is to the Memphis Grizzlies to see what it would take to pry Jaren Jackson away from them. Sure, it could be a perfect scenario. But for who, exactly? That's the real question. Because you have to manipulate the pieces just right. It's a fantasy world where you pretend to do what's best for the franchise and also music. Do right by Austin, because that man earned his payday. But Rich Paul, sensing the entire situation was about to implode, decided to launch a preemptive strike. If Luka refused to treat Bronny as a protected species, Rich Paul was prepared to teach Luka a very painful lesson about who truly dictates the makeup of this roster. On January 13th, the very same evening the Lakers got dismantled by the Sacramento Kings 124-112, Rich Paul took to his Game Over podcast and started referring to Austin Reeves as a piece of inventory instead of a teammate. He floated the idea of the Lakers dumping Reeves for Jaren Jackson Jr. from Memphis to patch up their pathetic defense. You have to understand what that really was. It was anything but a basketball strategy. It was a threat, pure and simple. Rich Paul was broadcasting a message to Luka in no uncertain terms. The one player on this roster he can stand playing with, the teammate that makes the Los Angeles circus even remotely tolerable, could be made to disappear if Luka kept resisting the family business. It was a power move disguised as a trade rumor, and every single person inside the league understood precisely what music it signified. Reeves' agent, Reggie Berry, caught on immediately. Berry handles the career of Austin Reeves, a man on the verge of a staggering $200 million maximum contract. That's the kind of money that changes family trees, the kind of money that builds dynasties. And Berry was forced to watch Rich Paul dangle his client like a piece of meat, a bargaining chip to secure Bronny's place in the rotation. Berry wasn't about to let that happen without drawing blood. So when the Lakers trudged through the tunnel after getting trounced by the Kings that night, Berry was already there, waiting for Rich Paul. The ensuing blow-up was reportedly so volatile that security had to get involved. Two of the most dominant agents in all of professional sports getting into a physical confrontation in a tunnel while the game is still going on is not some trivial disagreement. That isn't what happens over normal contract disputes. That is what happens when someone's client is being treated as a sacrificial lamb in a power struggle they never agreed to. But this is the part of the story that reveals why Luka's animosity goes so much deeper than just Bronny's playing time. This story starts back in 2020. Music. LeBron was selling Nike on a vanity project called Team LeBron, his own personal sub-brand, his private kingdom within the walls of the Nike empire. The comparison to the Jordan brand was blatant and completely intentional. LeBron has spent every waking moment of his career choking in the shadow of Michael Jordan's legacy, and Team LeBron was engineered to be his corporate answer to Jordan's dynasty. And the one player he specifically targeted to be the face of this brand was Luka Dončić. LeBron went on podcasts and announced it to the world. He wanted Luka to be the very first signature athlete for Team LeBron. He saw Luka's fluid game, his lack of selfishness, his panoramic court vision, his connection with young fans, and he schemed to hitch his own wagon to that star. Luka told him no, not just no, he delivered the ultimate insult and signed with the Jordan brand instead. His direct enemy, the one brand that LeBron has obsessively measured himself against for his entire career. Every night, Luka sets foot on the court with the Jumpman logo on his sneakers, pouring in 33.6 points a game and running away with the NBA scoring title. LeBron has to live with the sickening reality that the very player he chose to carry on his legacy decided to champion Jordan's legacy instead. LeBron even admitted it, saying it was going to haunt him a little bit, and it clearly has, because this was never just a business deal. It was a public declaration from Luka about who he is and who he wants to be mentioned with. Luka doesn't view himself as the successor to LeBron's kingdom. He views himself as the closest thing to Michael Jordan this generation has ever seen, and the market completely validates his belief. There is footage from late November of 2025 that screams everything words can't. After a play stops, Luka strolls over to LeBron and extends his hand for a simple low five, the most basic sign of team unity. LeBron stares at the offered hand and stone cold ignores him. He walks right by, in plain view of the cameras, the other players, and a global audience. That wasn't some accident. That was 5 years of being rejected, of having his ego shattered, of pure resentment boiling over in one frozen moment. LeBron is no longer looking at a young phenom he wants to take under his wing. He's looking at the man who rejected his brand, hijacked his team, and now gets his name uttered in the same breath as Michael Jordan. While LeBron is still desperately clawing for Jordan's 6 championships, the statistics make his decline even more painful. His usage rate has plummeted to a career low, hovering around 28%. For a guy who has been the undisputed offensive focus of every team he's ever been on for 23 years, a 28% usage rate is effectively a pink slip with a massive paycheck. And rather than accepting his new reality with some grace and letting Luka take charge, LeBron has turned every single press conference into a pathetic one-man show about his personal sacrifice and how he's contorting his game for the team. The absolute gall of portraying playing next to a generational superstar as some act of charity, while your own son is scraping together 2.3 points a game with a defensive rating of 120.5, is truly something to behold. Bronny was getting absolutely barbecued on defense during his 7.5 minutes of action, and yet LeBron had the audacity to go on ESPN and imply that if the Lakers were counting on a 41-year-old to be their defensive stopper, then the team was in serious trouble. That remark was never about the team. It was a poison-tipped arrow fired directly at Luka. To paint Luka's defense as a weakness, while Bronny is even on the roster, is a break from reality so complete that it only computes when you accept that LeBron's #1 goal is no longer winning a title. It's protecting the James family enterprise. The incident at Madison Square Garden with Stephen A. Smith made that priority painfully obvious. Smith offered a truthful, on-air critique of Bronny. The kid had shot 0 for 7, and any talk of the G League was completely justified and fair. During the Lakers-Knicks game, LeBron confronted Smith courtside in the middle of the game and lit into him. He ordered him to stop talking about his son on television. This happened during live play. Security was immediately put on notice. Anyone who saw the footage witnessed a man who had completely lost all sense of proportion, a man who couldn't tell the difference between defending his child and intimidating a journalist for simply doing his job. The February 5th trade deadline was the day the franchise publicly admitted the whole experiment was a disaster, and then they managed to make things even worse. While the rest of the league made power moves to gear up for the postseason, the Lakers shuffled Gabe Vincent for Luke Kennard, another shooter, another guy to stand in the corner. While Luka was running himself into the ground for 38 minutes a night and pleading for defensive reinforcements, the rumored Draymond Green trade collapsed because the Lakers refused to give up the assets to make it happen. And everyone knew those assets were code for protecting Bronny's place on the team. Charles Barkley said as much on Inside the NBA without even hesitating. He said the Lakers have to give the team to Luka and Austin. You can't pay a man $50 million a year to be your third best player on a team that wants to contend. That line resonated because it spoke the forbidden truth that the Lakers front office had been too terrified to even whisper among themselves for months. And then the All-Star votes were announced. For the first time in 23 years, LeBron James was not named an All-Star starter. The athlete who has been the face of the NBA for more than 2 decades was rejected by the fans, the players, and the media for the league's mid-season spectacle. Luka starts, model, the sleazy babysitter jab, that brawl in the tunnel, the snub from the Jordan Empire, the handshake that was deliberately ignored, being frozen out of the All-Star game, the whole rotten deal with that agent, and now, the explosive leak from their private group chat. Don't be fooled. These aren't random incidents. They all expose the one catastrophic flaw rotting this organization from the inside. This entire roster was built on 2 warring ideologies about the team's very purpose. Luka was brought here under the belief this was a team chasing a championship. LeBron, however, is treating this legendary franchise like a personal vanity project for his own bloodline. You cannot have those 2 poisons circulating in the same locker room for much longer. Luka is fighting to win titles. LeBron is maneuvering to secure a future for his son. These clashing, selfish ambitions are gutting the Lakers from within, and the evidence of the decay is everywhere. This situation is a powder keg, and believe me, it is going to get far more explosive before any of this is over. If you want to keep tracking every dirty secret and backstabbing move in this whole mess, smash that like button and subscribe so you never miss a single damning update.